There's a moment, a fraction of a second, right before everything changes forever, right before his hand becomes a fist, right before words turn into bruises, right before you cross over to a place you never fully return from, and your body knows, your instinct screams, your alarms all go off at once, but you ignore it because he says he loves you, because he's never done this before, because you think you're exaggerating. Clara ignored that moment, that last warning, and 3 days later, she was in the hospital with a broken rib, a black eye, and a choice she should have made sooner. This isn't a story to scare you. This is a story to save you, because there are signs, psychological markers, behavioral patterns that appear right before the first physical blow. And if you're reading this with that bad feeling in your stomach, this could be your last warning. Are you at the point of no return? Let's find out, before it's too late. If you feel like something is about to change, sign up now. What you're about to learn in the next few minutes could literally save your life. Clara had been with Pedro for 8 months. The relationship was intense, full of ups and downs, but it had never been physical until that weekend. But the signs were there weeks before. Clara just couldn't read yet. It all started with objects. Pedro began breaking things when he got angry. First it was a glass. He dropped it accidentally during an argument. Clara cleaned it up, thinking it was an accident. Then it was a plate thrown forcefully into the sink. "Sorry, I'm stressed." Clara accepted it. Everyone has bad days. Then it was the remote control hurled against the wall. Clara felt something different, fear. But Pedro cried afterward. "I'm not like this, it's just, you make me so frustrated sometimes." And Clara believed him. Signal number 1. He was yelling. Violence against objects is a test. He's measuring how much you can take, testing limits, before moving on to you. The following week, Pedro began to aggressively invade Clara's personal space. During arguments, he would get very close, chest pressed against hers, eyes fixed on hers, jaw clenched. He didn't touch her, but his posture was threatening. Clara felt her heart race. Her instinct to flee kicked in, but he never laid a hand on her. Then she thought, it's all in my head. Once he punched the wall right next to her head, so close that Clara felt the wind from the punch. Pedro laughed afterward. "I would never hurt you, you know that." But Clara wasn't so sure. Signal number 2. What was being given was space violence. He was invading your safety bubble, making you feel threatened without technically touching you, conditioning you to accept his physical presence as a weapon. Pedro also started engaging in physical jokes that hurt her. He would squeeze Clara's arm a little too hard, playing around. He would push her lightly, throwing. He would hold her wrist tightly when he was stitching her up, emphasizing. Clara would be left with red marks, sometimes small bruises, but Pedro always laughed afterward. "You're very sensitive, I barely touched you." Clara began to doubt her own perception of pain. Maybe she was too sensitive. Maybe she was normal. Signal number 3. He operated cruelly, normalizing aggressive touch. He was desensitizing you to physical violence, starting small, playing, until your body stopped reacting with alarm, until violence became something you tolerate because it's not that serious. But seriousness is measured not by the size of the mark, but by the intention behind it. 2 weeks before the first blow, something changed in Pedro's eyes. Clara noticed, but she couldn't name it. He would look at her sometimes with an expression empty, as if he didn't recognize her as human, as if she were an object, a problem, an obstacle. This look would last seconds. Then Pedro would return, smile, make a joke, but Clara felt a chill down her spine. Signal number 5. It was the most dangerous of all, visual dehumanization. When someone looks at you and doesn't see a person, but a thing, violence becomes possible. Because we don't hurt people, we hurt things. And in his eyes, for fractions of a second, Clara had ceased to be human. She had become the problem he needed to eliminate, solve, silence. Pedro also began to fantasize about violence verbally. "Sometimes I feel like," and he would stop. Clara would ask, "Feel like what?" Pedro would laugh. Nothing, never mind. But once he finished, "Sometimes I feel like making you shut up, really." Clara froze. "What do you mean?" "Oh, you know. You talk, talk, talk. You never stop." The tone was playful, but the words weren't. Sign number 6. It was being verbalized, a mental rehearsal of violence. He was saying aloud what he was thinking, testing her reaction. If you laugh, he knows he can continue. If you stay quiet, he knows you're afraid. And fear is fuel for those who want to control. Clara stayed quiet, and Pedro noticed. He smiled, a smile that didn't reach his eyes. 3 days earlier, Pedro had begun blaming Clara for his own violent impulses. "You drive me crazy. You know how to provoke me. Look how you make me feel." As if his feelings were her responsibility, as if she controlled his reactions. Clara began walking on eggshells, measuring every word, every gesture, trying not to provoke him. Sign number 7. He was shifting responsibility, pre-violence blame. He was constructing the narrative so that when it happened, it would be her fault. "You made me do this." And the worst part? Part of Clara was already starting to believe it, that if she were calmer, quieter, more obedient, he wouldn't get so angry. But the truth is, no matter what you do, violence is never about you. It's about him and his control over you. 2 days earlier, Pedro had an episode of disproportionate anger over something trivial. Clara forgot to buy milk. Pedro exploded. He yelled for 20 minutes. He called her incompetent, stupid, useless. Then he stormed out, slamming the door. He returned hours later, calm, as if nothing had happened. "I overreacted. I'm sorry." But it didn't sound like a real apology. It sounded like an act. Sign number 8. It was calculated, an explosion followed by an unnatural calm. He was releasing pressure, like a pressure cooker releasing steam. But the pressure was building, and soon releasing steam wouldn't be enough. He would need something more, something physical, something definitive. And Clara was directly in the line of fire. She just didn't know it yet. But her body knew. That's why she wasn't sleeping. That's why she had constant stomach pain. That's why she woke up sweating. Her nervous system was on high alert, waiting for the blow she knew was coming. In 2008, Dr. Neil Jacobson of the University of Washington published a groundbreaking study called "When Men Batter Women." He analyzed hundreds of cases of domestic violence and discovered something terrifying. 93% of the first physical blows were preceded by a specific psychological escalation. It wasn't random, it was predictable. There was a pattern, a sequence, and the signs appeared on average 2 to 4 weeks before the first physical incident. Dr. Jacobson created a scale. He called it the continuum of coercive control. It begins with psychological control, evolves to physical intimidation, and culminates in violence. Clara was at stage 8 on a scale of 10, 2 steps from the point of no return, and she didn't know it, because nobody teaches women how to read this scale until it's too late. A 2015 study from the University of Michigan analyzed the heart rates of abusers during arguments. They discovered something disturbing. Moments before becoming violent, the heart rate decreased. It didn't increase. The person became calmer, more focused, more controlled. This contradicts what we think. We think violence comes from loss of control. But no, it comes from a cold, calculated, deliberate decision. Pedro wasn't losing his mind when he broke objects. He was choosing, testing, escalating. And the calm before the storm that Clara noticed, it wasn't him calming down. It was him preparing, mentally, physically, emotionally, to do what he knew he was going to do. And he had already decided he would do it. He was just choosing the moment. There's also the concept of the cycle of violence by psychologist Lenore Walker. She identified 4 phases. Phase 1, rising tension, small fights, irritations. Phase 2, acute incident, violence explodes. Phase 3, reconciliation, honeymoon, promises. Phase 4, calm, everything returns to normal. Then the cycle begins again. But the first time is different because there is no cycle yet. There is only escalation, and the escalation has markers. Clara had seen them all: violence against objects, spatial invasion, disguised aggressive touch, physical control of the environment, visual dehumanization, verbal rehearsal of violence, pre-violence blame, unnatural explosion and calm. All 8 signs. She was screaming, her body was listening, but her mind was denying, because accepting meant acting, and acting meant leaving, and leaving seemed impossible, because she still loved him, or thought she loved him. In fact, she was trapped in trauma bonding, but it felt like love, and love doesn't go away, even when it should. A 2019 study from Johns Hopkins University did something that saved lives. They created a questionnaire, a danger assessment. Questions that identify if you are at imminent risk of lethal violence. One of the questions, has he ever threatened to kill you? Clara would say no, because Pedro never said those words. But another question, has he ever destroyed objects or hit walls near you? Yes. Has he ever prevented you from leaving a room? Yes. Has he ever held you so tightly that it left marks? Yes. Has he ever looked at you in a way that made you feel terrified? Yes. 5 yeses, and 5 yeses on the danger assessment means you are at severe risk, not of eventual violence. Of imminent violence, and potentially lethal. Clara had never taken this questionnaire. If she had, she would have left, before the blow, before the hospital, before the trauma she would carry forever. Knowledge is survival, and she didn't have the knowledge until it was too late. It happened on a Sunday, a trivial argument. Clara had gone out with a friend. She returned too late, according to Pedro. It was 10 p.m. He was waiting, standing, in the dark room. Clara entered, saw him, felt it, that sensation, danger, pure, immediate, point of no return. When you feel it's going to happen, and it does. Pedro didn't shout. He spoke softly. Where were you? I told you, with Julia. Until this hour? We lost track of time. Silence. Pedro approached, slowly. Clara recoiled. She leaned against the wall. He was inches away. Are you cheating on me? What? No. I was with Julia. Liar. And he grabbed her wrist, hard. Clara felt his fingers digging in. Pedro, you're hurting me. He squeezed harder. You're lying to me. I'm not. Clara tried to break free. And he let go, violently, pushing her. Clara's back hit the wall, hard. She felt the pain. But worse than the physical pain was what she saw in his eyes. Empty, complete. She was no longer Clara, she was the enemy. Irreversible crossing. The moment he sees you as an object, not a person. Clara tried to leave, to go to the bedroom, to lock the door, but Pedro blocked her. We're not finished. Clara felt real panic. She was trapped, physically. Pedro, I want to go to the bedroom. I want the truth. I already told you the truth. He took a step. She took a step back. A macabre dance, until she had nowhere else to go, cornered, between him and the wall. And then it happened. He raised his hand. Clara closed her eyes, waiting, and felt it, the impact, on her cheek, strong. The world turned to sound, a sharp buzzing. When she opened her eyes, Pedro was standing there, looking at his own hand, as if surprised, as if he couldn't believe he had done it. Clara touched her face, hot, sore. She didn't cry. She was in shock. Pedro started to cry. My God, I didn't mean to. Clara, I swear, I didn't mean to. He fell to his knees. Forgive me, please. I'll never do it again. I swear, I swear. Clara froze. Part of her wanted to comfort him. Part of her wanted to run away. She did nothing. She just stood there, paralyzed. Post-violence trap. He cries. You comfort him. Cycle established. Pedro stood up. He tried to hug her. Clara recoiled. For the first time, she said no with her body. Pedro saw it, and something passed before his eyes. Not remorse, anger, because she refused the hug, because she didn't forgive him immediately. Clara saw it, and she knew this would happen again. Because he wasn't sorry for hitting her, he was sorry that she had seen who he really was. Clara locked herself in her room. She pushed a dresser against the door. She grabbed her cell phone. Her hands trembled. She wanted to call the police, but she couldn't. Shame? Fear? Denial? She texted her friend, "Julia, he hit me." The reply came in seconds. "Get out now." "I can't. He's outside." "I'll call the police." "No, please, no." "Clara, you need to get out." "Tomorrow. I'll get out tomorrow." But Clara didn't know if she would have a tomorrow. Pedro was quiet, too quiet. After an hour, he knocked on the door, softly. "Honey, I'm so sorry, really. Can you open up? I just want to talk." Clara remained silent. "I know you're scared. I understand. I deserve it. But I love you, and I'll never hurt you again. I promise." Clara didn't open the door, and for the first time in 8 months, she made the right choice. Because promises from someone who crossed the line are worthless. Once it hits, it always hits again, without exception. And Clara had read that, months ago, an article that said, "The first time isn't the last, it's the first of many." She had ignored it at the time, but now with her cheek throbbing, she remembered and believed it. And in the morning when Pedro left for work, Clara grabbed a suitcase and left, never to return. Let's name the 8 signs that appear before the first blow. Sign number 1. Violence against objects. Break, throw, hit. It's not about the objects, it's a test. He's measuring your tolerance, preparing for escalation. If you accept violence against things, he's testing violence against you. Sign number 2. Spatial violence. Invading your safety bubble, blocking exits, getting too close during fights, physical intimidation without touching. Your body knows it's in danger. Listen. Sign number 3. Normalization of aggressive touching. Squeeze firmly, playfully. Push, throwing. Hold firmly, emphasizing. Gradual desensitization, to stop you from reacting with alarm when he touches you violently. Sign number 4. Physical control of the environment. Blocking doors, taking your keys, preventing you from leaving, testing whether you fight back or accept it. If you accept it, he knows he can escalate. Sign number 5. Visual dehumanization, the empty stare, as if you were an object, not a person. When that appears, violence is imminent, because we can only hurt what we don't see as human. Sign number 6. Verbal attempt of violence. Sometimes I feel like. Fantasizing about violence aloud, testing your reaction. If you don't react strongly, he knows he can continue. Sign number 7. Pre-violence blame. You drive me crazy. You provoke me.
Shifting responsibility, constructing a narrative so that when it happens, it's your fault. Sign number 8. Explosion followed by unnatural calm, disproportionate anger, then complete calm, as if nothing had happened. It's not control, it's preparation for what comes next. If you're seeing these signs, you're at the point of no return, 2 steps from physical violence. Get out now, while you still can. Science doesn't lie. Dr. Neil Jacobson proved it. 93% of first assaults are preceded by these signs. Studies from Michigan show that heart rates decrease before violence. It's not loss of control, it's a cold decision. Lenore Walker's cycle of violence maps it: tension, explosion, honeymoon, calm. But the first time is just escalation, and you're seeing it. The Johns Hopkins Danger Assessment has life-saving questions. If you answer yes to more than 3, you are at severe risk. Not eventual, imminent. Clara ignored it and paid the price, but she left because someone taught her the first time isn't the last. It's the first of many, and she chose not to have a second. You can make the same choice, now, before the assault, before the hospital, before the permanent trauma. Here are 3 actions that could save your life. Action number 1. If you saw 3 or more of these signs, go out today. Not tomorrow, today. Don't say where you're going, just go. To a friend's house, family, a shelter, anywhere. But don't stay, because when the 8 signs appear, the first blow is days away, and the first blow changes everything. Action number 2. Document everything. Photos of broken objects, recordings of threats, messages, witnesses. When you report it, you'll need it, and you will report it. Because violence doesn't stop, it only escalates, always. Action number 3. Complete the online danger assessment now. Search for Danger Assessment Domestic Violence. Answer honestly. If you test positive for high risk, call 180 Women's Helpline. They will guide you. They will protect you. They will save you. Don't be ashamed. Have a life. Clara now gives talks about the signs of pre-violence. She shows photos of her face 3 days after the attack. Purple, swollen, disfigured. Not to shock, to warn. She says, "That was me," after ignoring the signs. Imagine if I had seen them. Pedro tried to contact her hundreds of times. It was just once. I was stressed. You know me, I'm not like that. But studies show 100% of men who hit say it was just once, and 100% of them hit again. Clara blocked him, filed a police report, and got a restraining order, and rebuilt her life, far from him, safe, alive. She learned he was with another woman, and felt terror for the girl, who doesn't know she's on the same path Clara was on, seeing the same signs, ignoring the same warnings, until the day the warning becomes a blow. Clara did what she could. She told her story publicly, so that other women could read it, and see it, and leave before the point of no return. If you are reading this, and your body is screaming, and you are seeing the signs, this is your moment, your last chance, your point of no return. Choose to turn back before you cross, because after the line, there is no complete return. There is survival, there is healing, but there is also a scar, permanent, invisible, but eternal. Don't cross the line. Turn back now while you still can. If you are seeing these signs in your life right now, do 2 things immediately. First, don't subscribe to the channel. Leave. Grab your phone, call someone you trust, and leave today. Second, after you feel safe, then subscribe, and leave a comment letting us know you left, because your story will save another woman who is reading this thinking she's alone. Every week, I bring stories of survivors, not to entertain, to warn. The next video could be about femicide, or it could be about escape. It depends on you. It depends on the choice you make today, now, at this moment. Knowledge without action is complicity with your own destruction, and you just received the knowledge. Now act. Your life depends on it, literally.